MattBlattKiaNJ.com for more details. That's MattBlattKiaNJ.com.
It's gotta be
Matt Blatt Kia.
South Jersey's play-by-play home for the Eagles, touchdown! Sixers, and Flyers. 97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City, a Town Square media station. This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app. Now, live from the Matt Blatt Kia Studios. Here's Josh Hennig.
Monday edition of Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank. Sea Isle. Eagles lose again. We will get into what this means for Philadelphia. We will get into what is going on moving forward with the Birds. Also, the state of the NFL after an insane day of football yesterday. I don't think anyone expected that Ravens-Rams game to go into overtime. I mean, there's so much going on in the games yesterday. So, Rob Maaddi from the Associated Press will join me coming up in less than 20 minutes from now. I want to hear from you guys out there, your thoughts, your reactions after the Eagles' pathetic, I'm calling it pathetic, loss to the Cowboys last night. 609-403-0973 is the text board. Send your DMs into the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. You know, I had two major takeaways from the game last night. The first takeaway is it's incredible how 3 turnovers can completely doom a team. 2 straight weeks, the Eagles had opportunities to score touchdowns. 2 straight weeks, they had opportunities to put the game away, and they couldn't do it. Now, the reason why they couldn't do it, I don't have a good answer for that. I'm not trying to be flippant or dismissive. I'm just being honest with you guys. I think that after the game last night, I was so disoriented about what I even saw from the Eagles because you had 3 opportunities to score touchdowns in the game last night, and you fumbled. Not once, not twice, 3 times. The Jalen Hurts fumble was the moment that you were like, oh no, is this where we're going to go with this game tonight? The A.J. Brown fumble, you felt, oh no, we're going to get killed in this game. We are going to score no touchdowns. And then when Devonta Smith fumbled, you just felt like you got kicked in the face by fill in the blank, your favorite MMA fighter, okay? You know, for me, it would be like if I got kicked in the face by Mirko Cro Cop, okay? That's what I felt mentally and emotionally because I know this Eagles team is better than they're performing the last 2 weeks. I know this Eagles team is better than the stats show of them in recent weeks. But for whatever reason, this team has been incapable of executing on the field. And it's an utter embarrassment that this team doesn't get it. Now, I don't know if they're just saying the right thing after games or if they legitimately believe some of the horse manure they're putting out there. But for A.J. Brown last night to say that it's not about the turnovers, it's literally about the turnovers. The turnovers and the penalties killed the Eagles last night. A.J. Brown poked the bear and got worked, specifically Stephon Gilmore last night. A.J. Brown, he's either going to work on his body language or we have a legitimate problem with this guy moving forward. Because that fumble that he had and his reaction after the fumble was utterly ridiculous. I don't understand why he is being so dismissive and so nonchalant about this whole thing. And the fact that, yes, there were some plays, there are some referee calls that should have been made last night. I totally get it. And I feel like social media's got enough people nitpicking the film to, fill an entire movie at this point that'd be brought to a box office near you. But at the end of the day, I just don't understand. I just can't accept that this team is as bad as they're playing. And I think there's something going on with this team that's got to go deeper. There's something going on with this team that has got to be keeping them from what they should be doing. And when I heard Derek Gunn say this, that Derek Gunn, for who know, those who know who Derek Gunn is, know that he's covered the Eagles for a very long time. He has some of the best interconnected relationships out there. Okay. When he says that he was going back and forth with some Eagle players, okay, when he says that he's talking to some of the Eagle players and this is what they said to him, it really makes me concerned. Take a listen. So there's two big things to take away there. Number one, the players are telling you that the plays that are being called are not good enough. That's the actual players telling Derek Gunn, our plays are not as good as theirs. We're taking way too long to make the play happen. And that answers the question that we've been asking for weeks now. How much of this is Jalen and how much of this is Brian Johnson? And that from Derek Gunn proves to you that the problem is Brian Johnson. We've all been asking, how could Jalen Hurts be an MVP candidate last year and this year be so inconsistent? And now we know Brian Johnson is a culprit and he is culpable and he is part of the problem with this whole team situation. Derek Gunn just told you that the players themselves are saying we are not getting the ball out as quickly as the Cowboys are. That's a play calling issue. That's a scheme issue. And he said, we're taking way too long to run the play, to get routes developed. Again, a Brian Johnson problem. So basically, Brian Johnson is trying to show that he's so smart that he's overthinking it and calling plays that are not appropriate for the Eagles offense. You heard on the broadcast last night where Collingsworth and Mike Tirico talked about how Dak Prescott talked about how, it's like he has refound football, rediscovered how to play football and how he's playing the game, how he's getting the ball out of his hands quicker. It's a shorter drop. And you saw that the two quarterbacks yesterday in the NFL, there were two quarterbacks who both had a problem with long developing plays in their games. Jalen Hurts was one of them. Patrick Mahomes was the other. And it just goes to show you how the play caller in the quarterback's ear has such a huge impact on the game. Because Patrick Mahomes was doing like 7-step drops in that Bills loss to the Chiefs. And yes, if Kadarius Toney is not called for offsides, the Chiefs could have won that game. But I think it's a good thing the Chiefs didn't win the game because the play calling for the Chiefs was pathetic, just like the Eagles is. And I don't know if Brian Johnson and Matt Nagy are hanging out in the offseason, but whatever the reason is, these guys are calling these plays. Andy Reid and Nick Sirianni gotta grow a spine and step in and say enough is enough. This offense is the biggest problem I have with this team. I was already under the impression the Cowboys would score a lot of points. I picked over 52. I picked this game being a 38-35 game at the end of the day because I thought that the Eagles' defense would not be great at stopping Dallas, and I assumed the Eagles' offense would wake up and watch the Seattle tape and see what Geno Smith and the Seahawks did to the Cowboys. Instead, they didn't do it, and I think it's very obvious that we have a huge issue. And as I told Billy Schweim in the locker room here on 97.3 yesterday, when we were broadcasting yesterday morning, on Sunday morning, I said, I'm tired of hearing about these guys being on the job training. At some point, on the job training stops. You know, what point do we take that label, the label off? This is NFL week 14. If Brian Johnson knows how to call plays, how Nick Sirianni has developed plays by now, then it's a huge problem. And if Shane Steichen was that important to this team, then they should have never let him walk. Or if they did let him walk, they should have at least kept the playbook behind and not let him leave with all the good ideas. Because obviously, between the fumbles and the penalties and the bad offensive play calling, this team is an absolute embarrassment. And they should be utterly ashamed of themselves that they have put their fans in this predicament. This team is no longer, in my mind, a Super Bowl contender. As of right now, on December 11th, 2023, I, Josh Hennig, declare on your radio dial, on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, wherever you're listening, I appreciate you. And I'll get to your text in just a moment at 609-403-0973. But I, Josh Hennig, declare that the Philadelphia Eagles are not a Super Bowl contender. They are a team that has a ton of talent that is not playing like a cohesive unit. And I don't care if they need a players only meeting, if they need to go on a deprivement of technology retreat. I don't care what they got to do. These veterans got to walk into that locker room, pull up their pants, own up to their teammates that they all got to be better. And it's put up or shut up time. Because if you lose to Seattle this Monday night, you are going to be in a horrible position to potentially win the division. And you're going to be in a horrible position for a good playoff seed. The Eagles now have to basically win out to have a chance at the 1 seed. And do we really believe that this Eagles team, as currently constructed, is going to go on a winning streak on the road in the postseason? All right, see what you guys have to say out there. George in Summers Point chimes in at 609-403-0973 on the text board. Says, hey, Josh, after these last 2 weeks, I've come to the realization that although I do not want to admit it, the Eagles are not a Super Bowl team. George and I think alike, obviously, with this. I think there are too many holes in the defense, and for whatever reason, the coaching cannot adjust the offense to get the most out of it. I still think they can win a game or two in the playoffs, but that will probably be it. That's from George in Summers Point. George, I think you and I are simpatico on this topic. I agree. I think that it's very obvious that this team, as currently, not currently constructed, that's a horrible way of putting it, because, you know, we all agreed that Howie Roseman did a great job this offseason at putting this team together. And yet, for whatever reason, they are incapable of maximizing the talent on the field. Steven Ventnor chimes in, says, Josh, I would demote Brian Johnson and bring in Frank Reich like tomorrow. Well, Steven Ventnor, I hate to tell you this, but that's not going to happen for 2 reasons. One, because Frank Reich has basically already said that he doesn't want to coach anytime soon. And 2, I don't think Nick Sirianni is the kind of person who's going to make a brash move like that in the middle of a season. I think there could be a conversation after the season about what Brian Johnson's role is if he's still here. I mean, there's rumors out there Brian Johnson could be a head coaching candidate this offseason. If Adam Schefter is right, there could be 7 to 10 head coach openings. Brian Johnson might not be here, so that might solve itself out, honestly. But I would like them to get Frank Reich on the phone and just be like, Frank, this is Nick. Can you just do me a favor? I respect you. I need your help with this. Can you just watch the game tape and just give me some feedback? I think that is something that's very possible, Stephen Ventnor, because I know that Frank Reich and Nick Sirianni have a very good relationship. So I could totally see, Frank doing him a favor and just watching the game tape. I think that's very possible, but it's extremely unlikely that Brian Johnson would get demoted and they bring in Frank Reich. I think that's more of a pipe dream than anything else. I'm sorry to say. All right, we'll check on my text a little bit later in the show, 609-403-0973. But coming up next, Rob Maaddi from the Associated Press with his thoughts on the state of the NFL and the Eagles after NFL Week 14 Sunday action. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night on 97.3 ESPN.
It's Philadelphia Flyers hockey tomorrow night. 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Listen as Tim Saunders and Todd Fedoruk bring you all the exciting play-by-play action.
He scored! Just no quit by the Flyers.
It's Flyers Predators tomorrow night. Coverage begins at 8 p.m. It's Philadelphia Flyers hockey on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
With GMF financing to qualified buyers, excludes Corvette, excludes prior sales.
This is the big one. It's Bennett Chevy's year-end closeout when you get our best deals of the year. But hurry, we need to sell 200 vehicles before December 31st. So you'll pay what our supplier employees pay, not 1 red cent more. Plus, you'll keep all the rebates. That could save you a whopping 10% or more on your new Chevy car, truck, or SUV. They're all on sale now. And there's more. Bennett's got available 1.9% financing, saving you even more money. And get this, now till the end of the month, Bennett is paying a minimum $10,000 for any trade, running or not, towards any pre-owned in stock. You heard right. A minimum 10 grand for total junk. Imagine how much you'll get for a good trade. And wait till you deal with our non-commissioned sales team. You'll love it because they're paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. So there's no pressure, no haggling, just pure holiday joy. Find new roads at Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
Happy 62nd birthday, Granddad.
Thanks, sweetheart.
I got you this.
A mug. What does it say? Beware. If you are 60 or older, you may be at increased risk of serious consequences from RSV, respiratory syncytial virus, compared to adults younger than 60.
Not all dangers come with warning labels. Talk to your pharmacist or doctor about getting vaccinated against RSV today. RSV vaccines, including Pfizer's, are available. Learn more at bewareofrsv.com. Brought to you by Pfizer.
We are decking the halls, ringing jingle bells, and Santa Claus is coming to town. But can your roof handle a sleigh and 8 reindeer? Whether you need a brand new roof or the prancing and pawing rips off some shingles, Sea Point Roofing and Siding is here to help. Sea Point Roofing and Siding is South Jersey's premier roofing company where dependability meets excellence. So this holiday season, kick back and relax while we shingle all the way. Visit us at seapointroofing.com today to schedule your free estimate.
iPhone 15 Pro on Verizon and other Apple gifts. Time's running out.
It's your last chance to trade in any iPhone in any condition for a great deal on the new iPhone 15 Pro with titanium and iPad and Apple Watch SE with unlimited Ultimate. Additional terms and conditions apply. Act now. Visit Verizon.com.
Nizam's Indian Restaurant on Route 40 in Egg Harbor Township, the number 2 ranked restaurant in New Jersey by NJ.com, is ready to serve you delicious Indian dishes. Executive Chef Sharma creates curry masterpieces with his chicken tikka masala, butter chicken, and shag paneer. His lamb akari was ranked one of the best dishes by NJ.com. There are also many vegetarian and vegan options. It's open 7 days a week, 11:30 to 9:30, with a lunch buffet on Sunday from 11:30 to 3. Visit thenizams.com for more info.
Save big every day during Lowe's 25 days of deals. Save $100 on select master-built smokers for the grill enthusiast in your life. Plus, get up to 55% off select smart home gifts for everyone on your list. Order eligible in-stock items by 2 p.m. to get same-day delivery. Lowe's knows deals every day. Valid through 12/13 while supplies last. Selection varies by location. Delivered by 8 p.m. Subject to driver availability. Fees vary based on purchase. Additional terms apply. See Lowe's.com/same-day delivery for details.
Open enrollment is happening right now, New Jersey. Join the many residents who are getting quality, affordable health coverage through Get Covered New Jersey. If you need health insurance, this is the time to enroll. Get Covered New Jersey offers increased plan choices and more savings than ever. 9 in 10 people get financial help for plans that include preventive care, prescriptions, emergency services, and more. And many pay $10 a month or less. Find your plan at getcovered.nj.gov.
And now, a holiday wish from the New Jersey Lottery Scratch-Offs Division.
We wish you holiday riches. Give the gift of holiday riches. Holiday scratchers can bring holiday riches and make your whole gift list cheer. Give holiday scratch-offs to friends and your kin. There's over 41 million prizes for Jersey to win.
Share wishes for holiday riches. Must be 18 to buy a lottery ticket. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Parents are urged to think twice about gifting lottery tickets to children.
Wendy's Peppermint Frosty and Frosty Cream Cold Brew make the perfect gift for anyone in your life, especially for you. Yeah, this year you're sitting on your own lap and getting yourself what you want. Finally. And if you need a little more pep in your step, get yourself a refreshing Peppermint Frosty Cream Cold Brew. Or you can give it to your mom. Whatever.
Limited time only. Participating U.S. Wendy's Vanilla Frosty is temporarily unavailable.
Is your home ready for the next season? Are you worried about rooms that aren't staying cool or won't keep you warm in the winter? Call Jenkins Plumbing and Heating today about a new system from American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning or a Mitsubishi ductless system. Take advantage of financing of up to $15,000 from South Jersey Gas or Atlantic City Electric. Save more with rebates from these local utility companies. A new system can save you on your utility bills. Call Jenkins at 609-641-6440, online at jenkinsandsons.com.
You're listening to Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
All right, we'll check back in the text board in just a bit, but right now joining us as he does each and every week, Rob Maaddi covers the NFL for the Associated Press, and he joins us right now as the NFL is in a weird situation, Rob. We saw a lot of interesting outcomes around the league, but of course, we got to start with what I'm defining as a pathetic loss by the Eagles last night, Rob. How are you doing not sitting in the middle of Eagles country right now?
Yeah, I'm wondering if Eagles country's determined now that Nick Sirianni can't coach and Jalen Hurts is a bust as a quarterback, because if so, and that wouldn't shock me out of Philly land, both are inaccurate. Nick Sirianni did not forget how to coach football games. Jalen Hurts did not forget how to play, but they're struggling. And we've seen some flaws in this team along the way. We've seen them escape with some wins that could have been losses. The first Cowboys game, the Cowboys self-destructed, or else the Eagles would have lost that game. They had the ball down at the Eagles 6 and a first down, and then ended up losing yards, a sack, penalty, whatever it was. We saw them lose to the Jets. We saw them barely survive against the Bills, who were a play or two away from winning that. And then the 49ers dominated them, and the Cowboys dominated them. So the Eagles are struggling right now. There's some areas that they got to fix, and they're fortunate that the rest of the schedule for them is the easiest in the NFL and should allow them to win the NFC East, because ultimately I still think the Cowboys are going to lose, whether it's Buffalo, Miami, or Detroit. One more game wouldn't surprise me. And the Eagles would have to be, I didn't see the line yet, Josh, on the Seattle game. It's in Seattle. It's on
3.5
Monday night. What is it?
3.5.
Eagles?
Yes.
Yeah, and as well as it should be. So they should win that game. I know they've had a hard time, haven't won there since 2008, but the last 6 times they lost to Seattle, they lost to Russell Wilson. They should find a way to get back on track there. Arizona may be tough. I know the Giants are going to want to knock them off, but they got to figure some things out, because regardless of they win the division or not, they're not the best team in the NFC right now. And they're going to be hard-pressed to come out of the NFC and represent the conference in the Super Bowl. The defense has struggled, 6 straight touchdowns against the 49ers, and then the entire first half yesterday against the Cowboys. They couldn't stop them. They got to figure some things out on defense. They're not generating enough of a pass rush. The secondary is not doing a good enough job, and the offense looks completely out of sync.
All right, so I want to tie together 2 things you just said, Rob, because you began what you said about how Nick Sirianni hasn't forgotten how to coach, okay? But then on the tail end, he talked about how, this team needs to figure things out. So tie those 2 together, because There's a lot of people, and myself included, we look at the game last night and we can't comprehend how someone who has the winning record Sirianni does, how a team that got to the Super Bowl last year, how then that last night's game even happens.
Yeah, and there's some adjustments that they got to make. I know a lot of people, and a lot of people who have legitimate NFL knowledge feel like Nick Sirianni continually overlooks things like motion, as simple as motion on the offense, right? Putting guys in motion. They're last in the league in doing that. He has insisted that, hey, we're not going to just do it to just do it. But when you look at some of the other successful teams who do utilize a lot of motion, like this takes me back to the Doug Peterson era when we were talking about scheming guys open. When they had no wide receivers, they were JJ Arcega-Whiteside, and they were the practice squad. Remember the 2019 Eagles where they won 4 or 5 in a row, and Carson had these ridiculous numbers, and they had nobody. It was Josh Perkins and Boston Scott stepping up, and all of that. And we talked about, can you scheme these receivers open because they're not good enough? Well, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are good enough to get open on their own. But are they getting enough separation? Are the other guys getting schemed open? Are they creating plays where, like, I'm watching the 49ers yesterday, and I see Deebo Samuel, and I know he's got all-world speed, but it's incredible to watch. He's so wide open, and then Brock Purdy just drops a perfect ball right in his hands, and it's a long touchdown. And I'm watching George Kittle come way open down the seam and over the, like, I'm not seeing enough Eagles players that wide open. And then Jalen Hurts has got to quickly go through his progressions and make his decisions. And that falls on the offensive coaching staff, Josh. That falls on Sirianni and all of his assistants on the offense to, hey, it's time to make some adjustments. I know Nick Bosa last week, even though he didn't get any numbers, talked about the blueprint that the 49ers laid out for teams to beat the Eagles and defend Jalen Hurts. And he said, well, I hope the Cowboys watched it. Well, clearly the Cowboys watched it and were able to duplicate that. Now, if teams can see, if opposing defenses and coordinators can see holes that they can attack and weaknesses that you have on offense, now it's incumbent upon Nick Sirianni and the rest of the offensive coaching staff to figure out ways to combat that, to go back and look at the film, to come up with you got to change. You have to change week to week in the NFL. You can't go in there. And this is the one thing that we really liked about Sirianni before is when he talked about system and scheme and, hey, I got to do whatever it takes to win that week. 1 week it's running the ball 35 times. 1 week it's throwing the ball 50 times. Whatever you got to do to win that week. I need him to go back to the basics. Look at the film, figure out what teams are trying to do, and then try to come up with something to combat that, to beat that. And I think that that's going to show you how good of a game day coach and a week to day-to-day coach, because you're not just doing that on game day. You're doing that day-to-day. You're doing that on Monday night. You're doing that on Tuesday as you're preparing a game plan for Wednesday. And I think there's some questions there that legitimately have to be answered. But I'm not going to all of a sudden is it 27-4 over the last 30, whatever that incredible record is, and say, no, that team, that was all a fluke, or they're not good enough anymore. They just have to get a little bit better in those areas now.
The number would be 32-11 when Sirianni and Jalen Hurts are together for an Eagles game. When Jalen Hurts starts, Nick Sirianni is the coach. The record is 32-11. So that's the number I know. I know there's another number out there. There's another stat.
Yeah, I think you take out the first season or the struggling up until my favorite number is after the flower analogy speech.
Right.
Those numbers are pretty impressive. Right after the flower, maybe it's time for another flower analogy.
Well, then you said that Rob Mai from the Associated Press, senior NFL writer, joining us here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN, because it was also after that speech that a lot of the reporting is that Sirianni gave up the play calling to Shane Steichen. And now that Shane Steichen is no longer here, that's the biggest discernible difference, at least for me, from last year to this year. And Derek Gunn, he covers the Eagles for a very long time. He reported last night that the Eagles players told him that the problem is that too many of these plays are taking too long to develop, and they're not calling enough plays getting the ball out of Hurts' hands like the Cowboys are doing with Dak. So how much does this fall on Brian Johnson versus how much of this falls on Nick Sirianni, who has this 32-11 record, who did give up play calling in 2021 to maybe have a bigger hand in maybe getting this right?
Well, that's certainly an option that he has, and we see coaches do that at times when they feel like the offense is in a little bit of a rut. They're a little bit slumping along the way. Now, I don't understand what they mean by the plays are too slow developing, or are the plays not being relayed quickly enough to Jalen?
The routes and the plays are too slow
Okay,
developing.
so it's not that it's like 4 seconds, 5 seconds left on the play clock,
Right.
and all of a sudden Brian Johnson's figured out
It's-
what play
it's
he
the-
wants. He's talking about
Right.
they're talking about the actual plays, the development of the play. Well,
Correct.
Those are plays that are part of the team's scheme. Those are plays that they've worked on from OTAs all the way till now. So I'm sure you have different variations of every play. You have different routes and whatever you can do with one particular play. Maybe you can do it 3, 4, 5 different ways. But ultimately, that's the offense. That's the system. That's the scheme. So, yeah, that's a problem. That's very problematic. And if that's the case, then maybe Nick Sirianni's got to take a hard look at, hey, take play calling back for a week or two and see if that changes things, see if that jolts the offense a little bit. We saw that happen in Carolina where Frank Reich took it back and then ended up getting fired. So it didn't work out there for him. I don't think Nick's got to worry about getting fired. So if he wants to take over play calling and do that for a few weeks, like we know that Brian Johnson was put into this position, highly regarded quarterbacks coach, highly regarded offensive assistant, a very smart, intelligent guy, someone who's known Jalen Hurts for a long time. They've got this great relationship. And we thought that there's going to be some growing pains, some learning on the fly, some learning on the job early in the season. But heck, we're in week 15 now, and the troubles that they've had have been over the past 2 weeks.
Right.
Let's not overstate that, though. The troubles have been over the last two weeks, or let's not understate that, against two very good defenses. But then what they put up against Buffalo, 34, 37 points just 3 weeks ago. So it's not like the offense, there's a great defense that's doing an excellent job going up against this offense. I think going back to Sirianni, even if he wants to take over play calling, there's going to be a drop-off in the talent level you're facing. Maybe you stick with Brian Johnson and hope that, hey, he can get things back on track now that it's the Seahawks, the Giants, the Cardinals, and the Giants again, and see if they can get on a little bit of a roll before they head into the playoffs and start to face. Eventually, they're going to have to play the Cowboys or the 49ers again, and maybe both, depending on how things shake out.
Rob, I want to know from you, because we have to touch on the defense as well. The defense, they're not doing well right now, Rob. I mean, they're among the worst in the league in passer rating allowed. They're the second worst in the league in passing touchdowns allowed. They're among the worst in the league in quarterback pressures. And nobody thought coming into this year that those numbers would be what they are. So how much of what we're seeing for the Eagles defense is on Sean Desai, and how much of it is on Howie Roseman?
It's a great question. I think that some of the blame has to be on the coordinator. Some of the blame has to be on the execution, and then some of the blame's got to be on the players that you put into those positions. Now, we weren't expecting Bradbury and Slay to be back after the end of last season, and then they ended up somehow finding a way. Remember, Slay actually thought he was going to get cut and then reworked his contract, and Bradbury gets signed, and they're not playing up to their level of last season. That's on them. I don't know if you could have foreseen that, Howie Roseman, given the way they played last year. I think in Slay's case, towards the end of last season, he tailed off a little bit. And maybe that could have been predicted, but then you're also going for it now this year. You're trying to win a Super Bowl, and depending on who you would have been able to bring in to fill that position, like I can't fault him for those two signings or retaining both of those guys. Then you look at the defensive line, and you certainly hit on Jalen Carter in the draft, and Jordan Davis from last year looks like he's rounding into it. But Fletcher Cox, who had a big play last night for a strip sack that ended up being a touchdown, he's getting a little bit older. Brandon Graham's getting a little bit older. Hassan Reddick's still playing out of his mind, I feel. And then it's the safety positions and the linebacker. Like, I don't put that much on Howie as I do on the players aren't getting the job done. They're not making the plays. They're not executing. And then you got to look at the coordinator. You got to look at Desai, and is he scheming things up the right way? Is he attacking defenses the right way? Is he giving Dak Prescott enough? Well, he certainly wasn't giving him different looks to where he's got to figure out what they're doing. Like, defense is such a chess match, and you have to put your mind in the other quarterback, the other coordinator's mind, and try and figure out what they're thinking so you can be a step ahead of them. And right now, 2 weeks in a row, Brock Purdy and the 49ers, Dak Prescott and the Cowboys are multiple steps ahead of Sean Desai in the Eagles defense.
So with Rob Maaddi, AP senior NFL writer here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank. Seattle. Josh Hennig hanging out with you on a Monday night. Rob, I have a few non-Eagles questions I want to touch on with you, because, you did mention that the 49ers and the Cowboys both won, but the team that lost, aside from the Eagles, was the Lions yesterday. And I'm looking around the NFC right now, and it's starting to look like this is going to come down to the 49ers, Cowboys, and Eagles for some of the best spots in that playoff hunt. And the Lions are basically, they might be playing themselves out of the conversation altogether.
Yeah, their defense has struggled a lot lately. It's on quite a bit of a. You go back to the game, they had a rally to beat the Bears before Thanksgiving, and then losing on Thanksgiving. Like, I'm very disappointed in the way the Lions have played after all the hype, after living up to that hype early in the season. And I just hope that they don't finish as poorly as they started last year. Remember last year they were like 1-6, and then they still look like they're going to safely win the AFC North. However, I don't have them in my top anything as far as contender status right now. Like, they have, to me, if the matchup isn't a good one for them, they could potentially be one and done as a 3 seed. They're fortunate that the NFC South exists. They won't drop to the 4 seed, whether it's the Buccaneers, Falcons, or Saints come out of that division. That team will play the Cowboys most likely in the first round and get beat up by Dallas. And then the Lions to me could lose to whoever, whether it's the Vikings, whether it's the Rams sneak in there. However that shakes out, their defense is really leaking oil right now, and they got to fix it. But to me, it was disappointing that their offense wasn't able to do more. Yeah, like there have been times where, okay, they can give up 24, 28, 27 points and still win by scoring 30. And the Bears stepped up and really shut them down. And Jared Goff's been turning the ball over a whole lot more over the past 3 or 4 weeks than he had early in the season. The Lions have played themselves out of Super Bowl contender status, that's for sure.
When you look at the NFC, the other team I got to ask you about, because they're a team that you and I have talked about off and on throughout the whole year. As of right now, the Tampa Bay Bucks are leading the NFC South. I mean, I understand they have a losing record, but I mean, the fact that the Bucks are in this position is absolutely incredible, considering how bad the Panthers have been, how erratic the Falcons have been, and I don't even know what the Saints are doing halftime, honestly.
Yeah, and it was a nice win for the Buccaneers after they nearly blew it against Atlanta. They're up, I guess it might have been 19 points or 12 points, whatever. They were up late in early in the fourth quarter, and they let Desmond Ridder drive down and take over and lead and take the big lead. But I give Baker Mayfield and that offense credit. He only completed one pass to Mike Evans yesterday and still felt like you would think if they're going to score 28, 29 points, Mike Evans is going to have a big-time game, and he didn't. They found other ways to do it. So credit to Baker Mayfield. They're winning. I still think in spite of their coaching, there were opportunities in that game as I'm watching where I couldn't believe Todd Bowles is doing some of the things, making the decisions he's making. But then I've come to see him for the past year and a half and expect that from him. Whoever wins that, like they still have, they got to go to Green Bay. Then they got Jacksonville. I think it's going to be difficult for Tampa Bay to stay on top in the NFC South. That's 2 tough games for them coming up. Then I got to, like, you look at Atlanta and New Orleans and their schedules and what they have coming up. Whoever it is going to get beat up by the Cowboys. And maybe if the Eagles somehow slip and Dallas finds a way to win their tougher games and win out, then it's the Eagles playing Tampa Bay. Either way, whoever ends up facing them, I think it's going to be a 10-point or more kind of. It might be an 8-point spread, even though you're a home. You'll be a home dog in that game, and then they get beat up on.
Before I let you go, Rob, I gotta hit on with you. Is there anything more ironic than Joe Flacco potentially leading the Browns to the postseason? I mean, a decade ago, this guy was the quarterback of the Ravens when they won a Super Bowl, and a decade later, he's the guy who might be saving the Browns season.
Makes you wonder, because he was on the Jets last year, and we saw what the Jets went through, right, this year, and all they needed was a little quarterback competency with the defense they had and the talent they had. Maybe Joe could have bailed them out if he was still there, and I know he had his struggles with them at points last year, but credit to Joe Flacco coming in off the couch, basically hadn't played in 11 months, and he's like 1 touchdown behind Kenny Pickett already after starting just 2 games for the Browns. They're a formidable team. All they needed was a veteran quarterback who doesn't turn the ball over, and he's had a pick in each game, and yesterday's pick was a pretty bad. I don't know if the receiver fell or ran the wrong route, but he basically threw it to the defender. But still, a guy who can just steer the ship with the defense that they have, and it's been impressive to watch and actually fun to watch, because Joe Flacco's obviously, as we all know, a South Jersey guy, and he's got that Super Bowl ring, and now he's playing, and his kids get to watch him because they're a little bit older. So good for him. I wasn't a big Browns guy because of the Deshaun Watson signing and everything else, but Joe's a guy that's easy to root for, especially if you're a South Jersey Philly person.
It's going to be interesting because, I mean, the Browns have a championship caliber defense, and you just have to wonder if they get to the postseason, could they be that team that really shakes the apple cart in the postseason? Because with the Chiefs not being great, the Bills trying to sneak in, really the only team in the AFC looks like they're almost unbeatable is the Ravens, and they won in overtime yesterday.
Yeah, I think they're going to end up being, the Browns are going to end up being that team. There's always a team that nobody wants to face in the playoffs because of that defense and what they can do. You shouldn't want to face them, and it could very likely end up being Browns Jags or Browns Chiefs, the way it's looking right now. Tough loss for the Texans against the Jets. They had an opportunity there to make a run at that division with the way Jacksonville struggled the past couple of weeks. But I've been impressed with Cleveland. And then you got to, if you're looking at staying that division, Josh, Jake Browning and the Bengals, 2 wins in 6 days, and both impressive wins back in the playoff. Like everybody wrote off the Bengals when Joe Burrow went down, and Jake Browning comes out there, and I forget who it was. Somebody at ESPN tweeted like, "Oh, when I see Jake Browning, all I can think of is that dude can punt." Well, dude can ball out. He can play. Yeah. And I'm like, and that's when he first stepped in. So I don't know if he did a quick kick punt or something along the way in college to provoke that kind of comment. But he's showed up the last 2 games, and been very impressive for the Bengals. You're going to have a division there where I don't know if the Steelers are going to be able to hang on, but either 3 or 4 teams make it to the playoffs. It's the Ravens certainly have separated themselves, but I still don't look at the Ravens as a team that is unbeatable. I look at the Ravens and their history in the playoffs with Lamar Jackson and go, I'm not convinced that even as a 1 seed, I'm putting them in the AFC Championship. They could still very much so end up losing their first matchup.
Yeah, I'm obviously very different than whoever you're referencing because what I thought of yesterday was Jake Browning is now 2-0 against Gardner Minshew. He beat Gardner Minshew in college in the Apple Cup when Washington played Washington State. So that's where my mind went with Jake Browning. But I mean, I guess I'm just very different than most people.
Yeah, I'll find it for you too. I'll find it for you. I'm sure I will.
Send it to me later so I can get a good laugh or just throw something against the wall out of it. Hey, Rob Maaddi, senior NFL writer for the Associated Press at Rob Maaddi on the Twitter X platform. Of course, it's the AP Pro Football Podcast. Wherever you get your podcasts, like, subscribe, and download. Give it the 5-star review. And don't forget Faith on the Field Saturday and Sunday mornings here on 97.3 ESPN. Great stuff, Rob. Appreciate it.
Josh, thank you, man. Have a great week.
You too. Absolutely. Great stuff from Rob Maaddi there here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. We'll check back in on the text board next at 609-403-0973. Your DMs into the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle.
It's Sixers basketball tonight on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the 76ers, Tom McGinnis, calling all the exciting play-by-play action.
Oh, baby, and Embiid rocks the rim, throws it down. Wizards were ducking for cover.
The Sixers host the Wizards tomorrow night. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. Philadelphia 76ers basketball on your radio home of the Sixers in South Jersey. 97.3 ESPN.
97.3 ESPN has teamed up with Seize the Deal for incredible weekly offers from some fantastic local restaurants. Here's this week's big deal.
Get a $50 gift card good for use at Molly's Kitchen in Northfield for just $25.
Get this great deal starting Friday at 9 a.m. at seizethedeal.com. Hurry, chances are this deal will sell quickly. For more info on this great deal, go to seizethedeal.com.
SeizeTheDeal.com.
Make Sage Jewelers your gift-giving headquarters. Sage Jewelers, the real jeweler, offering something for everyone this holiday season.
Check out Sage Jewelers' large selection of GIA-certified diamond engagement rings, designer jewelry brands, gold and silver, all up to 40% off.
And if you don't see it in store, Sage Jewelers can customize anything.
Sage Jewelers' jewelry collection offers something for everyone for all ages.
Located on Tilton Road in Northfield.
Sage Jewelers, the ultimate expression of love.
At Bet365, we don't do ordinary. We believe that every sport should be epic. Every basket, every game, every point, every play. From the moments that are legendary to the ones that fly under the radar. Whether it's a game-winning goal in the final seconds of overtime or a shot on goal in the first period. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. 21 plus only, must be present in New Jersey. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply.
Thanks to Total Wine, you save more on all the gifts for the ones you adore. Wine, spirits, beers, all nestled on shelves. Got some advice from our helpful elves. Oh, so many gifts to explore when you go to Total Wine and more. Bottles so delightful, whoa. Priced so amazingly low.
With the lowest prices for over 30 years, you'll always find what you love and love what you find. Only at Total Wine and More.
Drink responsibly, B21.
Something good to know from First Bank of Sea Isle City. We have all of today's innovative banking products just like the big banks, but we offer something they can't. A personal community focus. Let's get you started with Bill Pay. You save time when you pay your bills online. It's fast, easy, and convenient. First Bank of Sea Isle City. A community bank that delivers more for you every day. Personal service, today's technology, from the people who truly care. Learn more at firstbankseaisle.com.
Member FDIC,
Equal housing lender.
iPhone 15 Pro on Verizon and other Apple gifts. Time's running out.
It's your last chance to trade in any iPhone in any condition for a great deal on the new iPhone 15 Pro with titanium and iPad and Apple Watch SE with unlimited Ultimate. Additional terms and conditions apply. Go to your local Verizon store now.
Your palace awaits. Caesars Palace Online Casino is now live. Download today and register using code RADIOLAUNCH. New users get a $10 sign-up bonus, a 100% deposit match up to $1,000, and 2,500 reward credits after wagering $25. Must be 21 and physically present in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, or West Virginia. Minimum wagering within 7 days required to unlock bonuses. Full terms and wagering requirements at CaesarsPalaceOnline.com/promos. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. In West Virginia, all games regulated by the West Virginia Lottery. Please play responsibly.
A psoriasis flare-up can make a walk in the park, well, no walk in the park.
It's that obvious, huh? I've tried so many lotions and creams, but I still have symptoms.
So those don't do enough to treat the inflammation beneath the skin, leaving you with those uncontrolled symptoms.
Makes sense, but what else can I do?
You can get real with your dermatologist so they can help you get clear. Make an appointment and, you're already on it.
Hi, yes, I'd like to make an appointment.
Get real clear about psoriasis at letsgetrealclear.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
I hate free money and finishing first. Said no one ever. At Raceway Kia on Rich Pike, you'll finish first during the Kia season of giving back, because we're giving back with 0 down, 0 interest, and 0 payments for 90 days. And right now, you can buy a bold 2023 Kia Forte LXS for under $20,000. Stop by Raceway Kia today or visit online at racewaykia.com. Approved credit with Kia Methods, excludes tax, title, license, and fees. See dealer for details. Offer ends 1/2/24.
Hurry and check off your list for the holidays with 50% off everything for a limited time only at your nearest Banana Republic factory store. Wrap up Luxe gifting favorites, plus must-haves for yourself now through December 11th.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. The holidays are here. Don't wait. Plan your holiday parties right now at Chickies and Pete's. And also get some shopping done early with the gift that always fits and always gets returned, Chicky and Pete's gift cards. We offer a wide variety of holiday party options and an extensive catering to-go menu for the holidays. Plus, get a $10 with every $50 gift card you purchase in-store or online at chickyandpete's.com. Happy holidays from Chickies and Pete's. Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's, and we are prouder than ever to partner with the Philadelphia Eagles. Chicky and Pete's has been named the official sports bar of the Philadelphia Eagles, and we continue to serve as the official caterer of both Eagles training camp and the official caterer of the First Trust Bank Club at Lincoln Financial Field. Go where the players go. The official sports bar of the Philadelphia Eagles, Chickies and Pete's.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Don't forget Game Night being brought to you by Jenkins & Sons Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning. Are you ready for what the winter season is holding in store with the weather constantly changing? Are you worried that the rooms in your home won't keep you warm this winter? Call Jenkins Plumbing and Heating today about how a new system from American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning or a Mitsubishi ductless system can help save you money. Take advantage of financing up to $15,000 from South Jersey Gas or Atlantic City Electric. Find out how you can save money on your utility bills with Jenkins & Sons Plumbing and Heating and Air Conditioning, 609-641-6440, or visit them online at jenkinsandsons.com. All right, before we get out of here, I did want to hit on a couple of quick NFL nuggets here before we walk out of here. First of all, with the Eagles losing yesterday, this changes the remainder of their schedule a lot. And, it's not like the Cowboys have an easy schedule moving forward, but neither do the 49ers. And I think that if the Eagles can swallow their egos and get themselves adjusted, they realize the worst of their schedule is over. The 49ers still have to play the Ravens and the Rams one more time each. The Cowboys got games at Miami and at Buffalo. And then, of course, Detroit and Cowboys will square off as well. So the other teams around them are going to have some tough games ahead of them. The Eagles got to swallow their pride, man up, and try to figure out how to make things better moving forward. Also, I got to say that I think for a lot of the talk that's been made about Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs' loss yesterday, I think we got to give credit to the Bills. The Bills, what an incredible road win by Josh Allen and company. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night. Sixers basketball next.
If you're suffering with a cold or flu, of course you can use over-the-counter medications, but there are fantastic home remedies that can help relieve symptoms. Dr. Mom used to whip up some chicken noodle soup when we were kids, and once